Thanks so much for talking with me. And I wanted to talk with you all, in addition to just both being wonderful folks, you also lead a small group
Yeah,
and have been leading this group for about a year, 2 years now.
2 years.
2 years,
2
right.
years.
Now, and could tell us a little bit about your group. How many people are in your group? What were you doing before COVID-19? What are you doing now?
We have 9 people in our group. We're meeting every week since COVID-19, just because we felt like since we don't have an opportunity to connect as a community at church as we regularly do, this gives us an opportunity to stay connected through the week by meeting via Zoom. We worked through all the kinks of everybody learning how to Zoom, and now we look forward to it every week. One of the meetings is we look through a book and have our discussion, and we pray together. We use the Compline to finish our night out and pray together. And then the other week, we just have fun. We've done a number of different things. We've had costume parties. We've had cocktail parties. Make your favorite cocktail. We had a 1960s name that tune. And we dressed up in 60s costumes. And one of those nights, we had a visitor from Chicago who joined us. So we just had a great time.
Michelle, can you tell me the book you guys are reading?
We're currently reading Holy Envy by Barbara Brown Taylor. Terrific discussion, not just amongst ourselves, which we obviously do, but we find it's a good one for internal dialogue as well. So each of us have chewed on that alone, so to speak, in our private thinking. And so it's one of those books that really has a good way of getting under your skin in the best kind of growing, wake you up, look at things a little differently. Barbara Brown Taylor is a wonderful author and Episcopalian priest, but besides that, she's just the kind of thinker that makes you wake up and re-examine. And when you're done, you feel energized. You feel like something has nourished you. So to get to chew on a book like that, and then to do it in the context of a small group where you're just great friends that love to have, time together and thinking time together, which is what we do, is a blast.
And the discussions you guys have are pretty meaty discussions, having sat in on one. I mean, it's, they're lively discussions and conversations.
Yes, there are no shy, reserved folks in our group.
And it's not an echo chamber. Like, we all have divergent points of view, and we like that. So, understanding someone's point of view is not the same as accepting or agreeing. It's that you get where they're coming from. It may be really different from where you're coming from, but you feel better for the exchange. And that's part of the I think, our great chemistry in this group.
That's wonderful. So you meeting weekly now. Every other week is book study, prayer time, and the other weeks it's fun. And I have a little photo here. What is happening in this photo?
Well,
a lot is happening in that photo.
Yeah, but this was a night when we dressed up like biblical characters. We had to guess who each of the characters were, and we just had a blast. Not only just trying to figure out who it was, but just seeing everybody being so funny. And Mike Davidson there, dashing David, I guess it was.
Dancing David.
Dancing David.
Who danced before the Lord.
Yes.
Yes.
You can tell Mike was into. He's Mr. I'm not gonna spend a lot on my costume.
Hey, I can.
So he was really clever with this because he definitely got into the part. You kind of see a little bit of a mask on there. That's just his own irreverent nod to wearing a mask during quarantine.
So Kathy Dove was Rahab. Matt was the.
He's holding up the sign.
Yeah, he was the guy that taking care of the wine at the banquet. I was Samson there with the shears ready for Michelle.
Ah,
Yes, yes, Mr. Dreadlocks here.
Linda Crenell she was a tree or the burning bush.
She was the very part of her real costume, which she just made from stuff she had on hand. I mean, it was quarantine. Nobody could leave the house to go get any fancy whatever, but part of her burning bush actually obscured her face. So this image caught a picture of her kind of half costume there.
that's such a wonderful photo, and it looks like you all are having so much fun. One more question for each of you, and you mentioned woodworking. What are you guys doing to stay grounded, find some peace, and even joy
Yes.
in the midst of this? It's okay if there's not much. We don't.
Yeah.
It's a tough time for all of us. Are there any things that you can share that might help us?
I do maintain a practice, a meditative sit, quiet time, solitude each morning, that's been a practice in my life for some years now. And that's the kind of thing, the solitude to that is real restorative for me. Obviously, that's also very much a part of my prayer life because I practice centering prayer as well as other kinds of prayer. And then on a practical level, besides a lot of time in the wood shop this spring, which is really, really important right now, and I'm very thankful for the freedom to do that. I realize a lot of people can't take that kind of time, and I use that kind of time to realize that it's a prayer time for me while I work. For those that are under a lot of stress and strain right now, that the last thing they could afford is a hobby or the luxury of not worrying about the next paycheck. So that's a big deal for me. Finally, I spend most days, about 5 days out of 7, an hour a day with my grandkids that love to be read aloud to. And we've done the 7 volumes of the Chronicles of Narnia this spring, and we're on the final book. But that's a series I love, really enjoying that. That makes me feel like something normal, important normal is going on in my heart and my life. That's been a lifesaver.
Harry, yourself?
Well, for me, I celebrate or work through the daily office every morning, and then at noon, I actually have an alarm that goes off the Jesuit site with the examen that comes on, and I know the thoughts that we think through and the questions we ask ourselves, and so I pause for a moment, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm working in the yard or whatever, to do that at my own time of prayer. I'm also in the midst of directed reading, and so I'm doing a lot of reading. And Michelle and I, we strangely talk together. We don't talk strangely, but strangely we talk together. So we are, whatever we're reading or whatever's going on, we always have had a practice of either reading a book out loud together or discussing what we're reading together, which has its own supportive nature to it as well. So it keeps us close and grounded as a couple.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you both in person.
Yes,
Yeah.
us too. Everyone.
And
yeah.